Today is day 7. I am still Sophia Worrell and with you all the way. So let us keep going. Today we're going to start to pull the problem apart. But before I do, you will see on the screen the book I wrote called Manpower, which can be ordered on Amazon. I wrote this book specifically for males and females alike to understand the importance of the mentoring process in the male's life. It stemmed from me seeing how vital it is for boys to have mentors throughout their lives, starting with their fathers. The book highlights that need because of my personal experience raising my son and being the main figure in his life. I quickly realized that there were issues I could not address because I was a female and my son was a male. I had to enlist the help of the male figures in my life. This caused me to end a feud I had with his father because I needed him to play the leading role. Later, I saw how my father, my brothers, and the males that he came into contact with as I placed him in the Boy Scouts and other organizations helped to keep the balance in my son's life compared to other mothers who got caught up in their anger and hindered their children from developing an unbiased relationship with their fathers. After writing that book, I have gone on to write other materials to help us of African descent understand our duties as men and roles as women in a series that I have called the Power Series, which will be out for publication very soon. But now let's get back to the course for today as we seek to pull the problem apart to examine the pieces and contents and the context so that we can fix the breach. We're going to look at equality versus balance. So to start, I want to say that the balance for equality is a farce and will never be attained. The feminist movement, which seeks to put the male and his ambitions down, are a trick of the devil to break up the home. It was God who created the male and female to come together in love to produce children. This biological setup is the only way in which children can come into the world. It will never happen in same-sex relationships. It is God's intention that men and women balance out each other. The male child and the female child needs examples from both the male as father and female as mother. The message that this sends to the child is respect for all people. So when women try to assert themselves by putting men down, this is not sending a good message to children. In fact, when women complain when it is done to them, citing that the man is trying to exert power over them, if he criticizes anything that they do, it defeats whatever they're trying to do. Needless battles confuse children. The reason the efforts of women who do this is futile is simple. Women are not wired to, women are indeed wired to have children and can only have children through intimate relationships with men. It is not a wise thing to cut down the limb that we are sitting on. I am of the opinion that women need to go back to the drawing board and discuss in more detail what it is they're truly seeking for. I do not think that they have a well thought out idea because we all need each other to attain the goals that we're seeking. So, in this game of life, we have been told that our problems started with the white man who has had dominance over the world, and we as people of African descent or women need to get back our control from these men who hold all the power in the world. This is not a good stance to live from or achieve anything that we're seeking. if we think that another person has what we need in order to lead successful lives, then we are going to fail before we even start. This is not a man's world as we have been taught. Both men and women are to have dominion. So let us tear this problem apart. And we have seen that life started in the Garden of Eden, and God gave Adam and Eve the directive to have dominion over the world. We have looked at the reason wars have been fought between men. Battles are better handled between men because they are wired to compete. It is nothing personal, it's just business with them. Men are the ones to obtain property so that they can provide for their family. That is how they are designed. Women are not wired that way. They are not designed for battle. Women are designed to nurture. I will go into more detail of the woman's dominance later in the course. The testosterone in men prevents the ego from being bruised, whereas the hormones in women make her take everything done personal. That is why she's not to vie for positions over men, because this breaks the code and rules in the game of life. Males and females have to come to the understanding that they're being watched by children and young people, and it is essential that the right messages are sent. Children have to be properly prepared for the world that requires vast knowledge to maintain its large systems. They have to be taught that while God is consistent in maintaining his end of the bargain by ensuring that the sun rises each day and the moon replaces it each night, that we also must be consistent in our duties and roles as human beings. There's a great need for researchers, engineers, computer specialists, physicists, doctors, managers, and professions too numerous to mention here. There's a greater need for plumbers, builders, electricians, mechanics, and many other careers where people are credited and credible and act businesslike and professional. There is a great need for performers, sportsmen, and designers to balance the pressure of a hard day or week of work so that we can enjoy social and recreational activity to get the energy to do it all again. And of course, there are many places for sightseeing, whether it is indoors in a museum, outdoors on a trail, or in another land. It is a balanced world for all of us to participate in. This is the world that God gave us, with a multitude of positions to fill. He wants us to create, innovate, invent, and design whatever will bring pleasure to us and others. As I stated numerous times, how can we enjoy what he is preparing for us over there if we do not enjoy where we are living right now? God is the one in control. So let us set the record straight. In the Bible, God told us in 2 John, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospers." This was not for white males only. This was for all males and females in the world. We cannot fault the white European man who took the time to seek God by reading his scripture and then claiming his right to have dominion. So must the man of African descent go to God and read his scripture so he too can claim his right to have dominion as well. It is through the process of reading that European men unlocked the secret to having dominion over the world. As he read, his brain power came into play and gave him ways to not fall prey to the elements and climatic conditions he was experiencing. By him testing out what he was reading, he slowly gained control. He harnessed the power that God had placed inside of him to figure out what was happening around him. By doing this, he no longer succumbed to the wildlife or changing conditions. What resulted was that he became master of his own fate. As he mastered this control over time, he willingly shared his accomplishments with other European men who were also sitting and thinking and then acting on their ideas. They sat and discussed what they were observing and improved on what they were doing. They tested out what they came up with and made adjustments. They came up against obstacles. It was not an easy feat. There were stumbling blocks along the way, but they learned. There were obstructions, but they did not give up. With every hurdle, they found a way over, around, or through using their God-given ability. They understood that they had to be flexible and was willing to take different paths as specialization was needed to achieve the end goal. They respected each other's input and suggestions. They coupled that with recommendations from others and maintained their part of the bargain with the view that being diverse would resolve problems. They agreed that it was them against the elements and not them against each other. They were determined and so shared ideas and resources and built each other up so that they could provide for themselves and their family. Those men wanted an heir and brought women into their lives to produce children so that they could leave the legacy of what they did for generations to come. The names of many European men have left a mark for anyone to build on, and their names are etched in the history for generations to come and for us to learn from. They did not seek permission from any other man. They just got up and did what was their right and duty as men to do. So, man of African descent, go read and confirm what I'm saying today. We are not created by another man who is here today and gone tomorrow. We came into this world by the living God who created us and told us to have authority over this world. The reason why we of African descent are failing is only because we're failing to read and to educate ourselves. When we become accountable in our duties and responsible in our roles, we will fare much better in this game of life. There are many of us of African descent that are now being stereotyped with those who act barbaric and unintelligent. Their thug-like behavior is not what we want represented in our culture anymore. This is not God's way. This is not the American way. It is time to build a culture that is peaceful, loving, and kind. Thank you.